Hey guys, Neil here. So just this is a quick video just to show off my quad Cortex protector plate design. This was a complete scratch design which I did in Fusion, which took me many months, lots and lots of prototypes to get where I am, and then an awful lot of touring and road testing to the point where I am now happy enough to be selling this as a product. So if this is something that interests you and you've got a quad Cortex and you want something with a little bit of customization and a lot of protection, then this is probably the video for you. So there's quite a lot to talk about when it comes to what I've gone through with the design of this. Its main function was born out of just wanting something to protect the quad Cortex and the finish that's on it. That obviously it's an anodized finish, but also just to give it a bit of protection. I don't know, falling mic stands, just general handling and being, you know, these things get beaten up pretty quickly, and in the 3 years I've been touring the quad Cortex, mine is looking, well, it is underneath here a little beaten up already before I came up with this design concept and started using and road testing it. As I said, this was a complete scratch design, literally looked at everything that was out there on the market. And everything that was kind of in the 3D community to see what had been done, and nothing really worked for me, or nothing was ticking all the boxes that I wanted. So I just thought, hey, the only way to get this to be what I want is literally to design it from scratch, which is what I've done. And then I'll be producing these here myself. Every single one of these will be tested by myself. Every single one will have to go through my quality control and my extreme attention to detail before I let it go anywhere out to one of you guys, should you want to pick one up. Now you can see the colors and looks are quite unique, and there's a few things to talk about on here. Let's go over a few of the basic things. So you have a 5mm depth of thickness, which is a really good amount on top. It's a lightweight PETG, a high quality PETG plastic. The reason I've gone with this stuff, it's waterproof, it's durable, hard wearing, it's got good low and high temperature resistance. I've been working with this material for literally years, and it's by far my favorite when it comes to producing stuff that I wouldn't necessarily just want to prototype, but I actually want to have function out in the real world. All the materials here that are used on this are a PETG. I've plate finished this one, you can see, in a kind of carbon fiber effect. This particular colorway I call Cortex egg, because it's just, like I said, the carbon fiber on both sides, the yellow and the grey, just reminds me of a Cortex egg supercar. I'm gonna have to sell quite a few of these before I can afford one of those, I can tell you. But everything on here is has a very specific purpose and design. So let me start by just quickly talking about these retaining nuts here. So these are also printed now. Neural, unfortunately for me, and well, more for me than the rest of you, because I've had to work around the designs of this, the actual nuts, the thread of these rotary encoder switches is proprietary. It's not something that's standardized. I've had people saying, oh, M12 is the standard nut size, and they're very fine. The nuts on these are very fine anyway. They're not very deep, and the pitch of the thread is very fine as well. But they're not actually M12. M12s won't screw onto these. These are a proprietary design, so I had to actually design these retaining nuts myself, and they're like an M12.4, which isn't a thing at all. But what that meant was, these are the purpose of these really are just to hold this plate in place, so they only need to be screwed on thumb tight, which is why I added a knurling to the outside of these nuts, so that these could be gripped and rotated on yourself. Now, because the pitch is very fine on these, it's quite easy to cross thread them. So the best thing to do is, when you put these on, is to spin them backwards until you feel it, with a little bit of pressure, spin them backwards, and you'll feel the thread suddenly seat. You'll get like a little click. if you heard that, then you spin it forward, the threads are aligned and it will go on. And like I said, you only need to go a little over thumb tight, and it's just to keep this whole thing pressed down. Now, the only place you can't essentially press and retain the pressure of the plate onto the top, and this is purely an option, is in this corner. Now this, you can see, even with it retained, these prints will come out pretty nicely to where this will sit flat. You don't have to retain it at all. It can be fine as it is. What I have done is with every one of these, on the back side here, here and here will be some adhesive tape. You can peel those adhesive tape strips back and it will just help secure this part down flat against the Cortex. Even the adhesive, I've spent a lot of time testing and messing with different types of adhesive, and this particular one is fantastic because in all temperatures it will hold it down firm. It is still pretty straightforward to get it off. If you want to ever remove this plate, you have to get under there and very slowly lift it. The adhesive will give way, but most importantly is that adhesive stays together as a tape form, so you don't end up with this big gunky mess that you have to then sit there gradually, you know, peeling off bit by bit. The whole tape adhesive comes off as one. So even that is was very important to me. But either way, that will come pre-applied in these spots, and then yeah, most people that will be putting these on will want to leave them on unless something catastrophic happens and you need to get this off again. But yeah, it's completely reversible. So that kind of covers those two things, and then eventually I will be looking at giving different color options for these, which you can buy separately should you want to mix and match colors. The whole color thing, I mean, we're guitarists, we are magpies, we like a little bit of customization and a bit of color, and again you have this option with this particular plate. So I'm just going to take these off so we can remove the plate and I can give you a few more details. The next thing to talk about is what's going on with the LEDs. Now what I have in here, now these are a friction fit insert, and this is probably easier to show you if I take this particular plate off. So I'm going to take this one off and then we'll talk about this with a different plate colorway I have here. So this one's got a different plate finish on it actually. You can see I've got the carbon fiber on the black and then this kind of sparkly, I guess it's like forged carbon, or yeah, it's got a slightly different texture to it, but again we can mix and match. So you can see with this colorway, this is quite striking as well, and we've gone with the white lettering here. You can see there's no LED diffusers in here. The LED diffusers look like this, and again this was something I spent a lot of time messing with and designing. The reason these are not glued into the product itself and they're a friction press fit is simply because some people will just want the original LEDs as they are. If you like the original LEDs, you'll be able to see them through there, no problem at all. The reason I came up with these, there was a few reasons. The first was by creating a diffuser, and if you can see the shape of this actually has like a slight cone shape to it, but then a hollow section in the middle. What this does when you press it into place, this will literally press and then hold in by friction and be very flat against the LED. That blows the 5mm LED out to 10mm, so it will actually make the lead look bigger, which I think is a great thing. It also brings the lead back to the surface, because with a 5mm recess, if you're stood off to the side of your quad Cortex and not directly above it, you probably won't see those LEDs too well, because like I said, they're now recessed into the design by 5mm. So this brings that shine right back to the top, so wherever you're stood on stage you can see it. And by diffusing them out to 10mm, they look like physically bigger lights, again easier to see. And then with this friction fit, again it's a little more protection. And then those friction fit, by the way, I have these have been in the back of tour bus trailers, it's been on, you know, scores of flights, and none of these have ever popped out once they're pushed in. But again, when you get, if you order a set of these LED diffusers, they'll come with some spares anyway. So that's how those go in. And like I said, once they're press fit into place and pushed flat, they really will hold. And you can see if I spin this over, you will see how they are designed just to sit directly over the top of the LED itself. There is also a bend channel in here, and this has angles on the bend channel. Let me get the other color because black's a little tricky to show you. You can see here there is a bend channel, and these walls are there so that you can't over bend this and stress the joint, but you mechanically bend it so that you have this angle in. And that is because obviously the quad Cortex has a bend angle. I can't remember off the top of my head how many degrees it was, but it's so that when you press this into place, that all stays perfectly flush. There is also a kick ring protector, which is here. That will most likely come not pressed into place. But as I said, everything's a good friction fit. It literally goes into a little recess here. Again, you can get a color that matches the opposite or matches the same as this, whatever you want. Everything will press into place perfectly and go completely flush with the model. And then you can see here, once it's on, you've got a little bit of kick protection for this volume rotary encoder up here. This is also recessed, no more accidental presses on that. It will only work when you need to get to it. Again, there's a chamfer there so the fattest of sausage fingers can get in there and operate it. And then the chamfer is also around here. Initially when I designed this, it was a square border, but that actually meant if you need to do your swipe gestures, you couldn't quite get your finger into the bottom of the screen to swipe up or swipe down for either your input menu or gig mode. So this slight chamfer means that your finger can get to the bottom and those gestures work absolutely fine. As I said, an enormous amount of detail. You can also see here the detail I've put in terms of the precision, exposing that beautiful chamfer, because that is a real feature, I think. But of course, you know, it's completely protected. Should something come down on the side of the unit, mic stand or whatever, it's not going to hit that. So everything is absolutely by design. And then in terms of the reason we have two colors is obviously for the beauty of it, but also so that you can with these, let me just take this one apart for you to show. Let's take all these bits out. You can see here there is actually, again, it's all friction fit, and hours and hours and hours of retesting and reprinting these parts to get that absolutely perfect material interface. The reason for being able to do this is so that you can interchange with other parts. So for instance, if I particularly really like that color, but I wanted to swap to, for instance, this one, I could take the red from this, match that with the grey, and again I've got the perfect mechanical interface that allows me to chop and change my colours if you wanted to do that. So yeah, and again I could use a red kick ring there that I could take off of this one, exactly the same thing. And you can see this particular red, this is like a candy red, is slightly translucent as well, which I think looks really quite pretty. Same thing, all of these parts will be interchangeable, including the LED diffusers. And there we go, across a couple of plates I've got some color options. And you can see this time we've got the white instead of the black. A quick note on this, the actual text is printed several layers deep, so even if, you know, a knife or something very sharp gouged this out, this is not a surface print that wouldn't disappear if it got scratched. That actual print, all of these are actually deep into the actual print itself, so any kind of scuffs or scratches or anything like that won't cause any degradation of the actual text print, so it will look good no matter what. So that gives you kind of a brief overview of how this protector works. So this is probably the most popular design in terms of being the one that allows you to get fast access to the touchscreen and using that. Now, there is a version that I've since developed that will be more expensive because it's a lot more labor intensive, and that version is the one I have here. Let me just bring this over. And this one has a rather fetching, what I call Minecraft edition colours here. I'd run out of the colours I wanted to use, and these were the two colours I had left. So yeah, excuse how incredibly leery this particular colorway is. But you can see here we have a screen protector that is magnetically held in place, and there is a recess here to be able to get your finger in to be able to lift that out. So this one has an acrylic glass screen protector, so you can still get to and use this, but the magnets you'll see in the corners of the screen, and that literally just clicks into place, and you've got full screen protection. And this was born out of the gigging outside. I remember particularly doing a gig where we were supporting Bryan Adams out at a festival in Switzerland, and the entire crowd turned up in ponchos, and we stupidly hadn't checked the weather before we arrived, and I had a very nervous moment where water was falling onto the screen of my Cortex, rain I should say, and started selecting things because I didn't lock the touchscreen, but just the whole nervousness of dealing with water getting on your equipment is petrifying, especially when you're trying to concentrate on the show. So the whole idea of this one was that this is considerably more rainproof, and especially on the screen. So this was more really for people who do a lot of outdoor stuff in and where you just think, I'm not going to be accessing that a lot. I mean, if you are, it's not a big deal to actually get under that and get into the screen itself. But I feel like this is a better solution for those that want a bit of, you know, all-weather protection, and of course with the LEDs and the retaining nuts on, there's just a lot more surface that is now sort of light shower proof, shall we say. There's a possibility I could put a cap on top of that would then protect the rotary encoder as well. That doesn't matter because that's actually the capacitive, so it's the entire top surface of that hasn't actually got any recesses for water to go in anyway, so there's no need to cover the power button. But yeah, it's another step up. But as I said, these require a lot more work because I have to cut each individual screen and also fit the magnets. You've got the magnets that go into the actual screen itself here, and then you've also got the magnets that are recessed into the design, you can see here. So you have the opposing magnets there that basically grip and grab the whole thing together like that. So yeah, this is another design to consider. But whichever one you go with, and there is another one here that is a prototype I can show you. This only has some of the LED diffusers in place. Let's just pop the grey in there, but you can see there's another different colorway with another screen protector in. Yeah, there's lots of options, but if I take all that off, you can see I think it just generally looks a bit more personal to you, and it has this great feel and design to it and functionality. I'm very happy with the product. But yeah, if you have any questions, just give me a shout, get in touch. I'm on Instagram, you can message me there at Neil Jones Guitar, and we can talk. There is obviously an option for further customization. I did make a set of plates for my buddy Rob Harris, the guitarist for Jamiroquai, and many others. Fantastic guy and a fantastic player. I have one of the prototypes here that you can see have his logo on. I can look at doing more custom work to your specific needs. If you want to get in touch, that's something we can talk about. But in terms of the others, I have a few in stock at the minute, and you're probably looking 3 or 4 days lead time if you want something made, because I'd have to get the printing done, put it together, check everything's good before it goes out the door to you. So yeah, I hope this was useful information in the meantime, and I look forward to hearing from you.